Next, I want to stop in with Terry Sawchuk, because something else we've been talking about that he alerted us to, central bank digital currencies. We're just going to scrape the top of this one for today, but I want people to understand what central bank digital currencies are. Terry, good to have you back on the program, of course. CBDC, they call these things. Basically, the way I see it, and you're the expert, I'm not. It looks like the federal government's considering coming in and taking over cryptocurrency. And then there'd be a monopoly, which wouldn't work for anyone. Am I getting it partially right, at least?
Well, I mean, that would be the scary part, Steve. That's not where we're at right now. The Biden administration this past week opened up, issued an executive order and giving themselves anywhere from 60 to 180 days to do research across a lot of the different government entities. And their goal is, first and foremost, their goal is to enact a central bank digital currency. They're also looking at stable coins and other cryptos. And I think the crypto space felt pretty good because they just didn't shoot it down right away. But in the end, I'm less concerned about that. I am concerned about it, but I'm much more concerned about some of the key elements that can go with a central bank digital currency. That's the scary part.
And so tell me about it. We've got about 3 minutes here, 4. Make it simple for it. Make it so I can understand it. So the average consumer can say, this is why this is this frightens you, right? It does. And I don't like it at all for a whole host of reasons. But tell us in a nutshell why it bothers you the most.
It's programmable money, so they can personalize your inflation rate. So if you've got a lot of money, but you're a saver, not a spender, they can incentivize you or disincentivize you by giving you negative interest rates on your money to leave it there. They can censor it, right? So just look what happened in Canada. They loosely associated certain people in the trucker space, and I don't know enough about it to get on the either side of the political argument, but they froze their accounts. And the Ottawa chief of police said, we're going to spend the next 30, 60, 90 days finding every one of these people and putting them in a position where they're going to have their accounts frozen potentially. So they can individualize that stuff. Can you imagine putting that kind of power in the hands of someone like Gretchen Whitmer? I mean,
good Lord, no. Our governor's frightening, or any other of the far left governors. What about Kate Brown in Oregon? Right. Kate Brown in Oregon she'd just rack it up on anybody she could pinch. Newsom in California, we need more money. Well, yeah, because you squandered it all. I never even thought about that. Programmable
it's worse, Steve.
Interest. Go ahead.
It's worse because, beyond that, what they can do is they can put expiration dates on money. So they can issue money and say, well, if you don't spend it within a certain period of time, it's not yours. They can disincentivize or, in this case, using a social credit system. And don't kid yourself, that's what Canada did. Canada instituted a social credit system by punishing these protesters. And so if you look at it like that, if they deem you to be a gambler, they could program your money so that you can't get on a bus and go to a casino, right? I mean, when you think about that, and that's all low level stuff. What if you're someone like a dictator, let's say Putin, if we want to use somebody as an example? Well, they could make it so that the people that there are political opponents couldn't spend their money on elections or things like that. I mean,
I can take it to a real world example, Terry. I can take it to Greece when they had their debt crisis here a few years ago. People that had a certain amount of money, over that amount, 50% was confiscated by the government to help pay the national debt for the nation. Well, if you've got digital currency, it's just a couple of keystrokes, boom, your account's zero. Right? If you're accused of a crime, whether it's true or not, your account's zero, like you point out in Canada. And they control everything. Everything you do, they can look at you constantly. I mean, talk about 1984. It's on steroids here. I see why it's frightening. We got about 30 seconds. I'll give you the last word.
I would just say that this is something, it becomes less of an issue if the regular crypto space can coexist, because then people will have a choice. The issue that we have is if we don't have a choice, then we've lost all control and we've just lost, period.
Government monopoly, which is which is what I mentioned off the top. Most frightening because of the power that they would have over everybody. And if they make that global, there you have it. Terry Sawchuk, Sawchuk Wealth. You can look him up online, Sawchuk Wealth. Terry, good to see you today. Appreciate your time, and we're going to dig deeper into this next time as well. Thank you.
Good to see you, buddy. Take care.
Greatly appreciated. To me, that is just so frightening. We'll be right back on the Steve Gruber Show.